1, 2, 3, shoot.
Oh,
it's around the circle.
JoJo, what do you get? 1, 2, 3, shoot.
The exact same thing.
Luke, get out of here with that scissor bullshit. 1, 2, 3, shoot.
This was like last ice cross season.
Is this how they did the side of the winner? Did they?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, shoot.
Oh my god!
We just shifted tier 1.
1, 2, 3, shoot.
This is a joke. You guys are doing this somehow.
All right, maybe we just call it a tie there. Where at least I'm.
Dude, I think that was a tie.
We came to get wild and get buck. Came to rock the house and get drunk. From the floor to the ceiling, go nuts. And he sounded this.
Welcome, everybody. AubyNAussie, Talk Cross, episode 8. Today's episode, YoungGunz. 2 action sports enthusiasts who happen to participate in ice cross downhill. I'm TJ Albrecht, broadcasting from Minnesota.
Aussie Crasher, broadcasting from Brisbane.
And we want to thank our viewers for joining us. Hope you guys are ready to learn a lot from one of the brightest young stars in the game, and personally, one of my favorites to watch in the freestyle competition. Sorry, Cox. JoJo Velasquez.
What is up? And thank you guys so much for having me. And for those kind words, TJ.
Well, I know you've already been working on some special things this summer. Can't wait to see what you got in store.
My plan last year was to send the double backflip. There weren't the best conditions. Maybe I've been training on it a little more.
See, in my head, the first 9/10 of the double backflip is easy. It's the landing, stopping, spinning part that's the hard bit. So like you'd be like 9/10 is fine, but that last bit is the bit you got to put the work in for. So
sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be good to see it actually happen on ice. That'll be interesting.
When we did freestyle in Japan, that first big drop into that large jump, I thought was gonna be perfect, but it just shot you out a little more than up.
You need to be in Pap's ear here and just be like, hey, Pap, this would be a great ramp for a track,
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe if he's watching.
This angle and this height and this landing, and it'll be sweet. It's fine.
Hey, didn't they introduce some sort of kicker in Japan for you guys? Why don't they just put that on the front?
You know what they did?
Oh, the artificial ice.
The freestyle event was so rushed that they put it in there and we just kind of ran through it. It was a different freestyle event. I don't know. I really don't even remember hitting it.
Well, I believe everybody only hit it like literally one time.
One time.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And it was in a weird section too, right?
Yeah.
On the rollers.
For sure.
Which was
the best freestyle comp that I remember was in St. Paul the first year I competed.
So you front flipped off your knees, wasn't it?
Okay, So that was the one where I flipped off the top.
Yeah.
That's right.
That one was cool because that was my first race, and I just remember that whole experience. I was going like, I got to make an impression. I got to do something crazy. And I was like, Dad, should I flip off that big drop? And he's like, I mean, if you feel like you can. So I just sent it, and it went good. Boston had a really good track for freestyle, and then the last Japan was pretty decent.
JoJo, tell the viewers here kind of the who, what, where, when, background.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess you could just say the background is pretty much this. Woodward. Yeah, my name's JoJo Velasquez. I'm 20 years old, and my whole life I've grown up at what's called Woodward. It's an action sports camp, and it is pretty much the largest action sports facility in the world. They have the mother camp out in Woodward, Pennsylvania, and then they have the second largest camp out in Woodward West, which is in California. Yeah, I just grew up there my whole life. My mom's been the general manager, so I've just been exposed to action sports 24/7, rollerblading, skateboarding, lots of Red Bull athletes. Yeah, it's just been a blessing.
What an amazing background.
So lucky. That
Truly.
place is like heaven. I hear. Always wanted to go. It was always on my bucket list to hit up at Woodward. But
Yeah. No, it's so funny because I I try not to take it for granted, but like even with the pandemic right now, I'm like, gosh, it's so boring. No one's here, but I'm at Woodward.
So you mentioned Red Bull athletes. Who would you say is maybe your top person that has come to Woodward and that you've had a chance to meet or work with?
There's this guy who trains on BMX, and he's a vert ramp rider. His name's Coco Zarita. He's a Red Bull vert biker, and he's by far one of like my biggest mentors. He's an amazing athlete. He represents himself well, and a lot of his knowledge he passes on to me. So it's just cool to always see him. He's always giving me tips, just like about influence and just growing myself. So he's great. Shout out to him.
What's one of the, I guess, one of the things he's said to you that's kind of stuck with you and you kind of live by?
I think at the end of the day, it's about doing whatever you can to make yourself happy, but to share your story. And I think that's kind of what he's about, is sharing that with the world. You know, ice cross is like, it's unlike anything ever. So it's the perfect sport to share that with the world when it hasn't even grown to its full potential yet. I show people videos of ice cross all the time, and they're like, I can't believe I've never seen this before. Every single time.
I've been saying that for years.
You show people here, they're like, is that like on snow? Or like,
Yeah.
People in Australia aren't really well versed in winter sports or what you would use to go on winter sports. So everyone's like,
Yeah.
is that skiing? Or that's all I know they do in the snow. I don't really, yeah.
It's hard for them
Oh
to
my
comprehend. It's like border cross. I mean, that's really the closest I could put it to it. Border cross, I think, is the most similar I can think of.
Yep,
Just ice.
border cross and hockey gear.
Yeah.
But I mean, just as we talked about last episode with the gear, a lot of us aren't even wearing hockey gear anymore.
You know, I've noticed that, and I will say switching from hockey gear and slowly transitioning into racing gear is a huge difference. For me, I like to stay protective because, you know, I do freestyle. You know, if you look at some of the top guys, they're barely wearing anything. I mean, they got their knee pads, whatever's a necessity, like your helmet and stuff, but there's not much there.
I think we actually spoke about this in the gear episode. If you don't follow that much, you don't really rely on your gear that much. So they kind of get away with it. It's just that like that
Right.
1% they do fall, it's gonna rattle them a bit. But they don't spend as much time on their ass as some of us in this chat. Then
Judging by your performance in Japan and your freestyle competition in Japan, I feel like you could probably lose some pads since you don't fall as much as Luke and myself.
I could probably definitely take some gear off. Always in the back of the mind, I have the idea that there is just that chance. So that keeps the pads on. You know, it's so unpredictable. You just never know what's going to go down.
Smart man.
If I can skate fast with pads on, just keep going.
Don't change it.
Last season was the first season that I switched to a new helmet, and it was way lighter. And I'd say that was the biggest difference.
it is easy when everything's kind of balanced. You don't feel like you got you're really top heavy. Because a few of the guys run
Exactly.
like a motocross helmet, and that is a heavy helmet.
No, that was
Like
the
that-
first
like-
helmet
like
that I
that one?
had.
Yeah, that
was
one's
before you
super
ran to
big and
661, isn't it?
bobblehead.
Yeah.
Now I have like a mountain bike helmet, which I don't like the way it looks that much, but it definitely performance-wise, way better.
I'd say yes.
I think it looks great.
Little 661 helmets we picked up, so light and just fit well, and they're not like overly big, but they definitely
Right.
work. So I've put a few paces a couple times.
JoJo, so tell us a little bit. Do you have, and we've done this with all of our guests, do you have a funny story or like a major memory that sticks out in your mind from your career thus far in ice cross?
I would have to say it was probably my first race in St. Paul. You know, that was my first impression of ice cross, and that was the biggest crowd that I can remember. And I was so nervous. And I remember doing freestyle in my first run. I did terrible. I didn't land any tricks because I had the nerves in me. Then the next run, I had a friend named Jimmy Hake, who actually lives local to this area, and he's a rollerblader.
I know Jimmy
He's in the
Hake.
freestyle comp. Jimmy Hake.
He's a good kid.
He's a good guy, dude. And he went down and he got like all zeros or something. I remember he started punching the mascot. I was holding up the score. He started punching the mascot, joking around, and I was cracking up. And it just kind of reminded me that at the end of the day, I'm in it for the fun. I got to stop stressing out so much. It was by far one of my most memorable times. And I always bring that back up to Jimmy. I love it.
That's insane. I've never heard that story before.
Yeah, he started punching the mascot. It was great. And the mascot went along with it. I was lucky enough just to get in contact with Cam, and Cam got me out to one of those races. So that was nice of him.
And that's all it all started, huh?
Funny story, actually. Coco Zarita, the Red Bull athlete, he got in contact with Kirk Thornton. When Kirk went out to Woodward West, Coco was just like, yo, you should check out this kid. He's always wanted to try the sport. And I think Kirk reached out to Cam, and then Cam reached out to me.
What a small world.
It's
So
such a
good.
small world, especially in like the action sports industry.
Well,
So for the people, Aussie.
it's because everybody's
Every
got to travel
episode.
halfway around the world to get to me. So I was gonna say it was really happy that they did reach out because you've definitely stepped freestyle up quite a bit for the boys. Because before you came in, it was kind of it was impressive what everyone was doing, but you came in and just blew everyone's doors off. So everyone's kind of mixed it up a bit now.
Dude, so pumped. I feel like freestyle takes the seriousness out of it. Like I think it gives the crowd an opportunity to look at it in a different perspective than just a race.
I feel it's kind of made us as just racers that don't do freestyle look kind of soft because you boys are still doing flips and we struggle to get down on our feet without falling. And then he's going to be like, wow, these dudes can't even skate down. Well, okay, fair enough then. But then again, there is a big difference between like skating fast and skating for fun.
Exactly. There's such a difference. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're strong, you have good body mass, if you can stay on your feet and you know how to pump, you're a racer. But if you know how to hit the transitions well and know how to jump and land in transition, then you can definitely throw some tricks down.
There. End that. Cut that. Record that for me. And I'm just going to play that over and over and over and over and over again until next season.
Perfect. That's pretty much what we did for Mike Iggy. Mike Iggy tried freestyle.
You've been training Iggy, haven't you? Or you were last season?
The first year was Minnesota and France. And then the next year was Japan. That was the first year we did Japan. And that was the year that Mike Iggy and I were training together. I was giving him all of my knowledge as far as like tricks and then rollerblading and transition. He was giving me all of his racing knowledge. And it was so much fun because I excelled a ton as a racer and he excelled, if anything, was introduced to freestyle.
It was fantastic. It was so much fun to watch.
Yeah, he threw some flips and everything.
Because he landed his first flip. Was it in Yokohama that year?
Yeah.
On the hip? He just came up, just backheel, and it was just...
Zacky.
Yeah.
Nothing. And then he pulled out the jump rope.
Yeah.
Pulled out the jump rope over there.
He's
that guy is the man and my bigger brother, pretty much. He takes care of me everywhere we go. Dude, he is my tour dad. Seriously. Shout out Iggy.
I love it. I absolutely love it. But for the people who are watching right now that maybe want to follow you a little bit closer, your social media, why don't you go ahead and shout out maybe some of your sponsors and where people can follow you?
Yeah. Right now, super prevalent on Instagram. Trying to kind of breach a little more into the YouTube realm, just posting all kinds of fun videos of my life, being a kid growing up at Woodward. And now, actually, I'm trying to take advantage of TikTok. I don't know if you guys have heard of TikTok.
I'm not that old. We're not that old, yeah.
Dude, TikTok is where it's at, man. I actually posted a video with my girlfriend the other day, and it got 7 million views. 7
what?
Million.
Damn.
7 million views. Yeah, so we're just flowing content there, 4 posts a day, and it's great. The amount of connections that you make with the youth is next level.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So doing that, just making some connections. And as far as sponsors go, I really don't have any sponsors. I'm keeping it me. All the money that I make working at here. If anything, this place is my sponsor, but I like to call it my home.
That makes sense.
But yeah, no sponsors for me. I'm just keeping it simple for now. And I feel like the right ones will come. That's how I see it.
It is good that it's just Woodward that kind of help you. Help you by employing you, I guess. But because the yellow and black jersey does stand out and look amazing on the track.
I appreciate that.
No, that
actually, 5-hole.
I was like, that was a 5-hole jersey setup, wasn't it? Because we actually chatted about some of the work he's done for the Ice Cross boys in the last episode with Reed, and he puts a lot of time and effort in for us, and we're very thankful for that because we couldn't look as
kills it
amazing as we do on the track without him. So. But yeah, yours when it came out, everyone was like, "Ooh, what's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?" And it dropped, and it was Yeah,
I like the idea that we come up with different concepts every year because I just like having different jerseys. I gotta talk with 5-hole. What's that?
Look good, race good, freestyle really good.
There you go. That's all that matters.
Yeah, I need some tips on that freestyle. I want to land a backflip next freestyle season. It can be on my head. Doesn't really matter. I just got to get to that point, but.
So this is the funny thing about flips. Backflips are the easiest trick to do when it comes to flipping. It's all the mental
game though, isn't it?
You just got to send it once.
You gotta let yourself go.
That first send may be a crash. It may be a land, but after that first one, your brain kind of develops the concept and you're good. You can land it after that. but it's way harder than front flips. I mean, way harder.
I'm going to a skate park after this. We record this, so I'll let you know how it goes. You just snap from me in hospital, like, yeah, so I sent it. Didn't work out so well.
And I'm gonna be like, damn.
Wear all your pads.
Yeah, right.
First.
And the more pads you wear, the better.
Mm-hmm.
It's just as bad it is to rollerblade in Australia, you'd get even more abuse if you rocked up with pads on rollerblades.
No.
Dude, you get called out pretty hard just for being on rollerblades in Oz sometimes.
Dude, it's still like that, man. And you know what? I feel like rollerblading is in one of the best positions it's been in a while. Just rollerblading itself is growing as far as like a lifestyle. You have aggressive rollerbladers who do ramps and rails. And then you have freestyle rollerbladers who have like the 4 wheels, kind of like what we do. Then there's like quad skating, long distance. It's growing.
It is the biggest it's been since the 90s. Like even in Oz here, like there's people out there that actually go skating. You see people skating down the side of the road again. Like it's fantastic. But then obviously it all comes
100%.
for some weird reason. There's always an argument now. People are like, oh, do I do quads? Do I do tries? Do I do inlines? Like, what have I got to use? And you're like, just honestly get on some wheels and you'll figure it out.
Yeah, 100%. And it's cool because I'm seeing it pop up in like different countries right now. It's kind of opening up my eyes to like maybe future opportunities where I can go visit these places and skate with kids and introduce them to the outlets, you know, because I went from rollerblading to ice hockey to a little bit of stunt double work into ice cross. And it's like, there's so many avenues when it comes to rollerblading. We're underrated, man.
Stunt double work. Who you been doubling for?
And this really sucked because there was this movie opportunity. And have you guys ever heard of Alita Battle Angel? It was a movie that came out 2 years ago.
Yeah, I do.
And it was crazy because I got asked to go audition to go stunt double. I was 17 at the time. This was 3 years ago. The movie came out 2 years ago, but 3 years ago I got to go audition. And I was 17 and they ended up not being able to take me on because I was too young. So it was terrible. I was so excited. I believe it was a James Cameron film, right? James Cameron. And he actually tried to get me a spot in the movie to be an actor, but I was just too young.
Oh my gosh.
You were the oldest you've ever been. And like, sorry, bud, you're too young. That's kind of brutal.
Yeah, I know. But it's all good. Those type of things will pop up. And that's just the cool part about it. It's about that journey.
Man,
it's all about the experiences.
Such a happy kid. I love speaking to you, JoJo. You just see the good side in everything. It's fantastic. The world hasn't ruined you yet. I really like that.
This is my mask, man. Usually I'm just pissed off all the time. I try to be happy. I feel like, especially at camp, it's just good. You got to spread positivity when the world's like crazy as it is now, you know? So,
well, when you're not at the camp and you're actually participating in ice cross, how many years have you actually been doing it now?
2.5 full years. Yeah, 2.5. St. Paul was my first year. And then I did the second year and then full second year and then the full third year, which was this past one. So
in that time, I mean, you've obviously progressed tremendously, but for the last 5 years, we'll say, of the juniors, what have you seen as a success in that division or maybe as a failure in that division? Or what would you like to see in the future?
I definitely feel that it has grown tremendously. And I feel like with how ice cross works, it is difficult to introduce the sport to the youth right now. It's very specialized. Like, you know, not everyone can skate down ramps made of ice. So that's the hard part. I feel like with time to come, it's going to open up a lot of doors when it starts getting more known and it's a crowd pleaser and people like to watch it on TV. But yeah, just watching it, like I remember the first person I noticed was, you know, Mirko. He was the first junior that really I laid my eyes on and I saw his skating style. And to be 100% honest, of course I looked at it and I was like, I could kill these guys. I really did. And I stepped on the ice for the first time and like everyone does, it's not what you think. It takes a very different skill set. And that's what I worked on. You know, I looked up to the older guys like you, Cam, Iggy, worked on my racing strategies, and it's definitely helped a lot, especially transitioning into the men's division.
And that's what it is, right? We're just trying to grow it. We just need more people trying it, realizing that it's not really as bad as what it is. I mean, you've fallen on all sorts of surfaces like myself.
For sure.
I will fall on ice any day of the week. You can just slide, right? And then pop back up and pretend like nothing happened.
Right. It's part of the sport. I remember the first time I ever fell, which was again in the St. Paul race, and I was so embarrassed. I think that was just because I would only see the good out of all the athletes. Like, dang, no one's falling. And I fell on my knees and I was so embarrassed. And I was like, gosh, you're terrible.
That's because you're watching the wrong guys practice there. You got to stay around for the slower guys to practice. Then you see all the falls. And then you're like, oh, I'm actually pretty good at this.
Just for the division for the Young Guns, you have obviously multitudes of different types of training that you do. Bring us a little bit into your world, whether it's on ice or off ice.
A lot of us know that Woodward provides the action sports side, the skating, the ramps. Racing was the biggest thing I needed to grow on, just getting that racing mindset. I started to realize that there's like different paths you need to take on the ice. So a lot of training for me was watching you guys on past films on YouTube, watching actually racing, like as far as like motorcycles and race cars, just weight training. It's really super simple weight training and some ice hockey on the side, and that'll do it.
That's awesome. Aussie, why are you shaking your head?
You just make it sound so simple.
I don't realize I'm training, I guess, unless I'm like lifting weights or something, which is a blessing because I'm always having fun while I'm doing it. I'm always filming and making good content. So
I was going to say, didn't you just do a film, or I saw something on Instagram where you were at their gym and doing sled pushes and pulls and jumps and hops and all that kind of fun stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Just my closest gym is 45 minutes away, so that kind of sucks, but it's a good way to just turn on a podcast, get in the right mindset, and then they're called Power Train. They help me gain some weight, just doing the whole gym thing, man.
So when you say listen to podcasts, you meant to say listen to AubyNAussie on your way to the gym.
That's the one. That's the one right there.
which will be easier soon because we are looking to get put on Spotify and iTunes and everything like that. So that's on the track. So you don't have to use YouTube to be able to hear it. So it'll be good once it gets to that point. We're just finalizing some bits and pieces now. So
I want to touch a little bit on the freestyle. What tricks besides, I mean, you mentioned the double backflip, but what ones are you currently working on that you really, really, really want to showcase, if you can let us in?
We all know the double backflip is definitely going to be one I'm going to work on. And that's never promised. As far as tricks I can do consistently, we got the front flip, we got the back flip, we got some spins. Last season, I was working super hard on what people call a Misty 7. I don't know why they say 7. I think it's a front flip 360 personally, but they say Misty 7, like 720. That one I'm cleaning up on. I want to get to the point where I can do that almost anywhere. But yeah, backflip 360, that's another one I want to get. I want to try to do a 900. So that's one rotation, two rotation, and then a half. Really, it all comes down to like how the course is.
I suppose you need the right obstacles to make it happen. I know we'll say 2 or 3 years ago, when I was a little bit younger, I was working on a trick called the ginger twist. I don't know if you ever heard of it at all. But if I can ask you to do anything, is I have it on Instagram. I tested it out a couple times on the Resi. It's basically essentially a barrel roll, I think, but I think it might work out to look pretty cool on some ice skates.
Dude, send me a video and I will post a video of me doing the hashtag ginger twist.
It's going to look interesting because I've seen the footage of it, and yeah, it looks a bit awkward. It definitely, throw some people off, be like, what the hell just happened there?
I tell you what, I came really close to landing it, and I think if it wasn't Resi, I think if it was ice and I could have actually stuck it, I think it would have happened. So we'll see. I'll send it to you.
Dude, freestyle, question mark?
Maybe one try. I don't know. I got to get the okay from Anon Papillon, which I don't know if it'll happen.
Yeah, right. I think you have to know more than one trick, unfortunately.
Yeah. Dude, we can get you guys a 360 and a little heel grab. Easy.
Ooh, we got them. We're talking about like the tricks that people want to see, not just the stuff we can do. They're two different things.
Superman front flip.
Oh, that is always an impressive one.
I mean, just the front flip alone is really difficult, but the Superman is difficult because when you're in the air, you can see the ice, and you have to hold the Superman. And then when you're ready to front flip, you tuck and you don't see the ice. So you just got to hope that your rotation is perfect. You know what? I lied. I also train on the super trampoline over here. Trampolines do it.
Oh, I've actually seen you doing some scooter stuff on trampolines.
The super trampoline, there's like no limitations. So you can jump on your feet. There's like, you can wrap a bike up with duct tape. You can jump on that. I do that with a scooter, and it's called the scooter tramp scooter.
I used to do that back in the day on the trampoline with skateboards. And then
Yeah,
I got
skateboard.
bored with that, so I ended up like strapping it to my feet like a snowboard because I never snowboarded before. I'm like, how hard can it be? And yeah, just doing some
Right.
flips and stuff on that. And then one time I fell through the trampoline, and then it never got used ever again.
Dang, man.
Literally, like,
that would be a liability over here.
like I went to land, and then 1 foot land, like they landed 2 feet flat, and 1 foot continued through. So I ended up like 1 foot touching the ground, 1 foot like cramped up in my chest because it like I fell straight through. And the whole trampoline bounced sideways and then like landed on top of me. And I was just like, well, not using that again.
There was a gymnast one time who was jumping on one of the Euro tramps. And this was a long time ago. I think this was like before 2000. And he was jumping super high, hit the tramp weird, snapped his femur. But listen, he jumped super high again after that.
Oh.
And while his femur was snapped in the air, he landed back down on the trampoline. And his femur compounded through the trampoline, leaving a hole.
Oh my God.
Dude.
That is. See, if you're going to do something, that is what I would call doing it 100%. Like straight
Full
up.
send.
There's nothing else that could have gone wrong in that situation.
Can you imagine the pain of that happening and then being back in the air, knowing that that's exactly what just happened?
By the time for everybody to realize what's going on, you'd be in the air and be like, oh, hang on a second. Oh, this isn't going to be good.
Dude.
I know there's one thing that I do want to ask, and it would have to be about Yokohama this last season.
Dude, that was a frustrating one. I think for me, the whole last year was relatively frustrating. With things that we can't control, you know, there were a few races that got canceled, but I decided to miss out on the 2 500s just because it was over the holiday season and I was going to visit some family. And the whole season really came down to me racing in those 2 500s because I was pretty dependent off Kazakhstan, Yokohama, and Russia. But I had a good running in Montelak, and that set me confidently down the path for the season. And then I realized with the cancellation of Kazakhstan that I had to go to Finland. We had to book flights right away. And that was after the time we had already booked flights for Japan. So we're just throwing money out left and right by this point. I went to Rautalampi, performed pretty well, got second. I believe that was the Finns' home track pretty much. So they got some good time to practice on that. Good win for Levy. And then we went straight to Japan right after that. That's where things got a little more frustrating, where we had to deal with the disqualification. And I'll say, I remember being up at the start gate. There were some technical difficulties. There was no sound at all. And I couldn't figure out why there was no sound. I remember talking with Levy. I was like, where's all the sound? This is so weird. And as we were both in the start gate, me and Livy were both looking at each other, wondering what was going on. And I believe Arthur was the only person that was in the start gate ready to go. And out of nowhere, the referee went, "Riders ready." And I looked at Levy and Igor. I was like, oh my gosh, we're doing this. And all three of us stuttered on the start. Arthur got the heads up. He went first out of the gate. And then the rest is history, man. I tried to pass him on the turn, on that bank turn. And I had so much speed. It was either put my hand here so I don't kill this kid or try to scoot through the middle. And whoever watches, you guys make your opinion on that, because I don't want to be an asshole. But he fell down, he hit the DQ button, and the rest is history. And it pretty much just came down to whoever won the Japan race got the points and won. So it was frustrating, but it's in the past.
That's a part I feel people don't quite understand. Like, if you see us with our hands on each other, it's not so much to be, I guess, aggressive or anything. It's literally to let the person know that you're there, or like you do it for yourself, so you can kind of like keep your spacing between the guy in front, so you're not going to stumble or anything. So a lot of the time, if you see hands anywhere, it's a lot of just being protective and letting, like, kind of like communicating with the guys around you. It's never a malicious thing. Well, it can be a malicious thing. Depends how you look at it.
My next race was Canada, and I ended up winning that one, which was good. But I do remember in the men's division, and I can't name this guy. I'm not sure who he is. But I was in front of this dude, and I could feel him pulling my jersey, man. And I was like, "Will you stop?" I yelled at him, like, "Will you stop?" during the race. And he kept pulling my jersey, and he ended up passing me and took me out. So
yeah, a lot of times, like Luke said, it's not the fact that we're there to be malicious or push you. It's more of like a safety. Hey, I am here. I'm right behind you. If you do happen to fall, like, just a heads up, I'm here.
Right.
But you're right. You have those handful of individuals, which we won't name, who you see generally from race to race or from weekend to weekend having the same types of heats, and it gets pretty frustrating. I know, at least personally, because this is, well, hell, my show and Aussie's show, I want to side with you, bud. I think that if it would have came down to Russia, you would have fucking kicked his ass.
I appreciate that. I was looking forward to the Russia track. It was technical and it was super long. So like, not only would have been on a good track, it would have also been on one that I've been training for as far as like cardio goes. And I was looking forward to that one, even for freestyle.
So many obstacles.
You'd be dead.
Well, you might have to head over there on rollerblades.
Yeah, I know. And I got invited to that rollerblade race, but it was like midsummer camp. I was helping the kids out over here.
Believe me, I've been to Russia several times. I used to coach hockey over there, and it is a different world if you've never been. You want to make sure you're going with somebody you know.
You brought up, I guess, some of the challenges from skating with some of the men. Obviously, they can be a bit more aggressive, but is there any other challenges you've had going from juniors to racing with the men where you've just kind of hit a track and been like, oh, wow, that was not what I was expecting?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like in the men's division, just like hockey, you got to think fast. I remember in Radolampi, it was the first time ever when I was racing the men's division where I was going, oh my gosh, start gate actually is going to play a role on the positioning on this first turn. Like, is it better off me starting at the furthest gate and cutting really sharp in between these guys so I can get the advantage? But transitioning into the men's division, that's really all it is. I feel like it's strength. It's power, how smart you can be on the race. Like, I mean, Fisher's a fantastic person to look at. We can all agree that he's definitely not the most talented person, but he's going to do relatively well on those tracks where he can think and get the insides on people.
It's that skiing background, man. He's got it.
Hashtag glider right there.
He has so much fun to watch.
He has some amazing line choices you watch and you're like, what are you doing out? Oh, I see what you're doing out there now. Okay, fair enough.
And, Levy actually, I feel like is an opposite athlete in terms of our styles. He does fantastic on tracks that are long and are more ski racer type. It's cool, dude.
Yeah.
Everyone brings their own style to the track depending on your background.
The best part about the sport, it brings a wide world of diversity. But at the end of the day, even off the track, like, we are all literally friends and we can go out and have, us older people can have some drinks, but you can come out and watch us have some drinks and,
and judge.
Enter into some of the chatter and judge. So
dude,
drive us home.
My dad was talking to me. He's like, you should go talk to the juniors, and at the end of the day, you guys will all be friends, but you should try to get into some like little tussles and fights and create some publicity with them. And I was like, dude, none of those guys are going to want to do that.
There's one, I think, I got to say, again, it's our show, right? So Joni Saarinen.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good one.
Why not? I feel like that's just a perfect little rivalry right there that could be extended that, you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing a little junior fight.
He actually legitimately was an asshole. So.
Oh my God. I remember, Luke, I think it was Lassar, because Derek won, right? Or he was like on the podium.
Yes.
Joni Saarinen was on the podium.
Yep.
And I have never seen anybody look so pissed off to podium before.
Because he didn't get first.
Because we're all friends, if you're going to act like that, then good luck. You're just not going to make it as far as the group goes.
And you're going to be shunned by all of us.
I raced him my first time in Japan. Off that first jump, I hit his helmet. You can't control your hand sometimes. It's just what you do. I flung up and I hit his helmet, and he adjusted his helmet. And then in that corner, he ended up grabbing my jersey and tried to pull me down, but I think it slipped out. But I didn't say anything. My first mentality was, it's going to happen. People get heated in the moment. And that was my first ice cross one ever. But then we went to, this is a crazy story, man, actually. And I don't know how true this is, but we had a race in Igor, Russia. It was the final race, and it was me and 3 of the Finnish guys. And I love the Finns, dude. Mirko is like the best dude. Even Lee's a great guy. So I remember, I think I got the fastest in time trial, so I got to choose the gate that I wanted. And I wanted the far right gate. But when I walked up, all the Finns took far right, and middle left. And they were leaving me the worst gate, which was far left. So I looked at Joni and I said, Joni, I want the far right gate. And he looked at all the other Finns, and all 3 of them went like this. So I think the idea is when they would say go, the middle left guy would cut me off and they would go. Because if you watch the footage, when they say go, Yoni cuts me off right away. And I was able to spin out of that one, went down the track. In the corner, Levy ended up falling down. And then on the last jump, the last fin hit me in the air and I almost died, but I ended up staying on my feet. So I was like, yes.
So you just need to have like a lineup of all USA juniors and then one finish. And then you can just, turn the tables. You'll be fine. It is such a hard sport too, because it's very seasonal. So it's not like you can be putting footage up the whole thing like all year round about it. And then even then, if you're just training, people just like, oh, there's just an idiot on rollerblades. Nothing special about that. But then if you see what it like leads into, people are like, oh, that's really cool. How do you do that? They're like, you rollerblade. They're like, oh, well, how does that work? And you're like, well, it does.
Exactly. So like I said, it'll keep growing. And with how prevalent social media is, I feel like as the athletes, it's our job to share that and just keep posting.
And any tracks that you've been on, you think some of the juniors just really struggle on, and the juniors just like, how do we do this?
My first track where I realized like I really got to work on my skill was Finland, the long one, Evascula. Dude,
was it the skis first or the actual track?
Yeah, was it getting to the track or on the track?
Both. I was so confident going into that race. I was thinking like with my stamina I would really dominate, but it really came down to a science. Like I remember I was doing time trials for the men's. I want to say like a little over a minute or something. And I know the guy behind me was nowhere near as good as I was. I knew for a fact. And he ended up beating me by like 9 seconds.
What the fuck happened?
And I talked to Cam about it. I think at the end of the day, the heavier you are, the more body mass. It's physics. You just go so much faster. So that's where it like really hit me. Like, dang, I gotta gain body mass. I gotta get stronger, more powerful. Like that's why people like Kyle Croxall, they dominate on those long tracks. Mirko.
It makes life easy being a fat kid. Just like telling you, like I would not be on some of the positions I've been in if I was a lighter, just because there's literally the momentum. You come down something and then you just have the momentum to keep going. And so you see some of the, like the lighter kids like have to skate up things. And you're like, oh, that's easy. Just let the weight do it for you.
Last season was the best shape I was ever in. I think my max was 172 pounds. And look, gaining weight for me is hard, dude. With the lifestyle that I live, it is so difficult. 172. The heaviest I've ever been.
78.1 kilos for everyone else in the world. That's still pretty. Like that's pretty good. That's a good weight for your size. Like you're not a tall guy. You, so because TJ's what you're like 60 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah, for the most part. No, I rocked that 150 lifestyle. Back in college, when I was drinking a bunch of beer, I was a little bit heavier, but it wasn't lean mass like what you got.
So you're telling me if I maybe drink some more beers, I can gain weight?
Yeah, don't
wait till you're 21.
So, in the American races, they don't use champagne, do they? It's alcohol free.
Oh yeah,
sparkling, is it?
It is. It definitely is.
Sparkling grape juice.
Because I don't like the taste of champagne, and when you do drink it, it's like definitely doesn't taste like it. I was in Igora, and that was the first time I ever opened up champagne, not thinking, like. That's disgusting. Cool. It's going to spray this everywhere.
So it was easy for you to get into the sport. Then I guess it's kind of all word of mouth. But are there any tips and tricks for some juniors out there who have seen it, want to try to get into it? Like any other ways of approaching into the sport?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to 2 key principles. Knowing how to ice skate. Number 2 is understanding transitional terrain. So skate parks, if you can get good at that, those 2 things are going to take you into the sport, and you can do
those pump tracks, right?
Those pump tracks, yeah, just lots of jumping and spinning, and I honestly tell everyone who are getting into sport, like, do freestyle tricks, put your body in positions that it's not used to on ramps, and that's how you really grow the fastest. I feel. I
was going to say, when's Woodward going to have an ice cross camp going down? Because I know I have a junior with me that is really keen to get over to Woodward and give it a rip. And I'm super pumped to tick that off my bucket list.
Personally, I want to host like a Red Bull Ice Cross weekend outside of camp time. And I think that would be so sweet. I think the sport needs a place where we can all go and where there's no competition.
That literally is what you would need in the off season to grow the sport. Like you said, it's just a bunch of individuals who all are on the same mindset, who want to have a good time. And even for the newbies, I mean, imagine the footage that you get. This is how you practice. This is how you train. This is how we just have fun and mess around. Like,
exactly. And I think it'd be the perfect opportunity for us to all get together and start talking about what we can all do to grow.
Yep. Exactly. I love it. Austin, do you have anything to add right there?
No, I've asked all my questions. Do you have anything to add, TJ, seeing that you've been, cut off a few times this one?
You're the only one that's cutting me off. At least JoJo is a respectable individual. So
that's because he lives close enough for you to go fight him. You're not getting into Oz, so I'm fine.
Oh my God. All right. Well, JoJo, thank you so much. One more time for the people who are watching, give us that Instagram tag. Where can they follow you and see?
Yeah, absolutely. At Johanny Velasquez on Instagram, at Johanny Velasquez on YouTube, at Johanny Velasquez on TikTok. Johanny Velasquez.
I love it.
And that
TikTok
right
TikTok is the newest strain.
Thanks for what you guys are doing. This is super cool, and it's cool to see like the different sides of the athletes. You guys are killing it, and this is super healthy for the sport.
Thank you. We appreciate that. And we thank you guys at home watching. We challenge you to subscribe to us. Check out the first couple episodes we've had. It's only going to get better. You can check me out, Auby1987.
You can check me out everywhere on Aussie Crasher.
Questions, comments, business inquiries, ideas for future episodes, hit us up at AubyNAussie@gmail.com. Next episode 9, talking past champions. We have a heck of a special guest coming on. But for now, your favorite Ice Cross Ginger and Aussie signing off.
Until next time, it's all downhill from here.
Hands up!